Wagwan. Welcome back. It's your boy LP Coach. Welcome back to the Next Generation Baller Show. Yes, we are here. This is my journey today. Yes, today we're going to talk about my journey in football. If you ain't seen my first video, go look into my first video. I'll give you guys a little briefing, but today is now when I'm going to dive in a little bit more and just talking a bit more about a specific subjects. But today I'm going to talk about my time at Crystal Palace, my first ever scouting job. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate you guys, all your support. It's been amazing on this journey. And listen, I always say it, man, we've got loads more things coming. You know what I'm saying? Everything's to work in a pipeline. So I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all the love. And yeah, man, let's talk about my time at Crystal Palace. My first scouting job. How did I get the scouting job? If you watched my show before, I spoke about when I joined Paul at Crown Pro Elite. At the time I was working in Galvanite Windows in Hilton Hotel. Didn't like my job, wanted to get back involved in football. I saw it either online, ended up joining Paul, and then yeah, the rest was history. And then after I had one session, my first session with Paul. Loved my session, a really enjoyable session. He's like, listen, I like what you do, I've got a guy there, Jamal Jarrett, academy director. I think he was at Manchester United. I'm not too sure where he is now. I couldn't even find out where he is now. I'll find out where he is now while I'm talking to you guys. He said he got a guy called Jamal Jarrett. At the time, he was academy director at Crystal Palace. And then most recently, I remember him, he was involved at Manchester United. I don't know if he's still there. But yeah, he was at Crystal Palace at the time. I went there on a voluntary role. Because that's what a lot of people don't understand about scouts, yeah. Like you see when it becomes, when you become a scout, a lot of people think, a lot of people don't understand. I'm going to do a more in-depth speak about it, about how it works in the academy as a scout. But yeah, it went on a voluntary basis, and I even break it down to you guys now actually, because what a lot of people don't understand, you see, like when you go, especially on a voluntary basis, which is majority of the time, unless you're on a paid role. I think the voluntary roles are kind of less of a thing now because of all the data and the money that goes into certain aspects of things. But yeah, as you see, it says Jamal, Manchester United poach, especially Jamal Jarrett, to ramp up scouting in the best players around. Yeah, so it looks like he's still at Manchester United. Top guy, very calm, very collective. But yeah, when it comes to scouting, normally you get like how it goes is you go in, they'll give you a remit of what they want and how they want it to work at the club, and then what they're looking for, you're going for little meetings, they'll give you a little breakdown of what they expect, what the club's remit is and what you're going to look for. And the tip that they gave, one of the tips that someone gave me, I forgot his name, but I always took this in my scouting mission when I went everywhere. He always said to me, make sure you look at what we got, yeah? And this is what you need to understand is like, and it's quite difficult because when you, on that voluntary basis, you have to bring a player into the foundation level and to see if they're good at foundation level before they even get a trial. And to be honest, that's quite difficult in that certain aspect. And I'm going to explain you how sometimes it can even be a disadvantage to some players, because when you go into a foundation, ultimately, yes, cool, you're connected to the club, there's a lot of coaches and that there, but there's a lot of kids there, there's a lot of attention there, and sometimes the talent can kind of get ignored simply just because you're too close, and it's just not the fashionable thing to, we scouted a player from the foundation. It seems crazy, but in that environment, it doesn't seem really about a fashionable thing. You would kind of get more recognition, as you would call it, if you was to actually go out on a grass on a Sunday and pick up a boy there, and he comes in and he's shining. Then everything that you got there, because you, in some people's opinion, you could be one of the best in the foundation, but not as good as what they got in there. And that could just be some people's opinion. And because you're so close, I just feel like it's easier for sometimes for certain people's opinions, because that's one of the biggest things in football is opinion. And in the position that you're making that opinion from, that's kind of where the final decision comes from. But I feel like in that foundation environment, because a lot of parents, I know parents come up to me and ask me like about, should I go to this foundation or should I go to this camp? And I say, I'll be honest with you, I told them like, don't expect too much when you go there, because obviously just because it's the name and you're around certain things, certain coaches and certain people, it just necessarily isn't just the go-to thing. But nevertheless, that was a scenario there. And yeah, sorry, I was talking about the structure. When you go on a voluntary basis, you get that structure and they tell you this, yeah? You get a fee for this, they tell you will get a fee, commission fee for when a player comes in and he signs, yeah? And then after that commission fee, sometimes around like between 50 to like £200. And then once he officially signs, you'll get signed over his time you'll get paid over his time at the club. So just say you sign a player, just say for argument's sake, you sign a player for under 8s, you get your 50 to £100, whatever. But then you would only then get paid until that player gets a first team appearance and then go on to do other stuff in his career that matches to me. And obviously that's where the blurred lines comes in, because at the end of the day, if you're young and you just come to this game as a volunteer, what's the chances that you're going to still be at that club when that player goes on to sign a professional contract? So you've got to look at it in a different kind of aspect. How I looked at it was, this period is all about recognition. You shouldn't look at the money. You shouldn't be trying to search for that end goal, thinking like, oh yeah, you're going to get loads of money for signing a player for an academy, because it just generally doesn't work like that. If you're starting out, you're going in, especially on a voluntary basis, you should be going there to build your reputation. And it can be quite hard, because again, you're a volunteer. There's people at the club that are getting a wage for doing what they do. So for you to then kind of get a player that for you to get a player recommended over a scout that's already at the club and getting paid a wage is a very, very difficult thing. And I'll give you a scenario, because for me, like I said, one thing the person told me was to go and look and see what they got and then go out there. And then that's what I done. I went and and not the foundation, because again, if you're a scout and the scouting point of view, there's no point in going looking at the foundation. You want to actually go watch an academy game, because when you sign up, you're obviously going to get the fixtures. You're allowed to go watch the fixtures and whatnot because you're part of the club, even though it's on a voluntary basis. So if I was a scout, I'd advise to go and watch the game, watch their games and watch all their age groups and just see who the best players is in each age group, why they're the best players, what they do right. And then when you go out there, you can kind of know what you're doing. And that's what I done. I just went and watched loads of games at Crystal Palace, kind of understood. I listened to all sides. I kind of listened to the manager. I looked at the parents. I looked at the players, obviously, and I kind of took all them elements to kind of understand. Okay, these are the type of parents that they look for. These are the type of characters and players that they look for. This is what the manager asks for in this age group. This is what the manager asks for that age group. These are the best players in that age group. These are what they do well. So when I went out there, and I'll give you one example, Osman Kamara, I went out to Wanstead Flats at the time. He was playing for Cinema at the time. I think it was under 8s. And he was absolutely annihilating it. Every single week I went to watch him. He was scoring about 4 or 5 goals a game. Technically outstanding. Just the ability just to keep the ball close to his feet, beat 3-4 players, and just the accuracy with his passes, his accuracy with his shots. You could see that he had all the abilities to make it as a professional footballer. He just needed to be guided in the right way. Good parents. His dad, Angel, very, very calm, humble guy. And at the time, I gave him an opportunity to come in at the foundation. He went in at the foundation, and that's when I saw the reality of like that type of situation, is because there was a lot of kids there. There's a lot of players there in that foundation environment, and it's very hard to then get to a next stage, because the ultimate stage, which I'm going to talk about, is like getting a PYD1, I think that's the right term, or I'll get the right term for it anyway, but you want to get official scouting form to sign for your trial, which is going to be a minimum of 6 weeks, and that's when you're really in the game. That's when you're in the field to actually know if you're going to get actually signed for the club. Being in the foundation element, it doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, I had Osman in there, and I had another player as well called Yusuf. Both got them from cinema at the time, and there was at Crystal Palace. I thought I see their ability on the Sunday, and I just knew what they had at Crystal Palace. I definitely felt that he was, if not as good, but definitely better than a lot of boys that were there. And I brought him in. He was there at Crystal Palace for about 4 weeks, and I feel like it was kind of frustrating because I would see him on a weekend do absolutely amazing. Then I'll go and see him at the foundation, and I'll see him do well, but I just won't see him get recognised. But in my head, I was just like, but only if these guys see what he does on a Sunday, then they will understand what a top talent he is. And then he was there for about 4 or 5 weeks. I kept asking him, like, what's your thoughts on him? What's your thoughts on him? And they generally just kept saying, we'll see, he does well week after week, we'll see what's happening. And then at the time, what happened was he was training with, we also let him to come train with one of our training with our grassroots team, Crown Pro, but he never played any matches. He just used to train with us. And at the time when he was training, someone came along from Arsenal and actually spotted him at our training session, and liked him. And then they asked if he can come in for a trial. Went through the official process to get him on a trial. Went on a trial. I think they made the decision within 2 weeks. 2-3 weeks while I was on that trial, Arsenal made that decision. And I'm sure, if I'm not correct, in his first or second game, he played against Crystal Palace, and I'm sure he scored 2 goals to get the equaliser to make the game 4-4. And then the rest was history. I know there was a lot of talk about that in terms of Crystal Palace making the wrong decision. And ultimately, Osman Kamara, he's gone on to be a professional, signed a professional contract at Arsenal. Since gone on to Blackburn Rovers, where he's been performing really, really well in the academy, and is going to be looking to get into the first team. And that's just the aspect when I talk about in terms of the opinion, in terms of, and again, the journey of, especially you're starting out when you're in a volunteer role, because I never got paid any money for that type of situation, because first of all, he never signed for Crystal Palace, so I would have got any money for that anyway. But look, imagine if he did sign for Crystal Palace, in the end he went on to be a pro at Arsenal, do you know what I'm saying? So the balance of how things work out, and again, it's the recognition of being able to get a player from that talent and to get him signed to whatever level academy team, but being the fact that it was a Cat 1 team and being Arsenal, definitely boded well in my favour. Yusuf as well was a similar situation when he was at Crystal Palace. They didn't want to make the decision. He later, not through myself, I think through somebody else, got a trial at Spurs when I signed on for Spurs. And they sort of talk about in terms of opinion and going into that environment. But being that first job at Crystal Palace, it taught me a lot. It was my grounding. It was my bed in my understanding, because it was my first opportunity to see an academy standard, which I loved, to go and watch academy ballers play. And that's a tip that I also give to parents. I'll speak about it a lot, but parents, go and watch what the level is in it, because Sunday League is not academy level. If you go and see academy level, you'll get a bigger perspective as to what you would expect when you go into. And academy football is not the be-all and end-all if you want to become a professional football player. But if your kid's in and around of that level and you think he's good enough, or he's been told that he's good enough, I definitely would advise you to go and experience the environment before you step into it, because it is a different level. And just going through that process of speaking with parents, watching games, seeing young talent, and bringing them to the forefront. And the formula that I had, which I kind of liked, and I don't know if a lot of people do it nowadays, was me personally, I like the freedom of players having freedom. So I would never ever, because I was also a coach at Crown Pro Elite at the time, I would never tell a player to leave their football club, and I always tried to make that clear to them. I just gave them the opportunity to come here and train and get exposure, and I thought that formula worked in terms of the few players that ended up signing in the academy in that route that I'd done in the in bringing them from their former clubs, training with us, and then getting an opportunity to go out and travel. Because at the end of the day, for me, the kids want two things. They want to be able to enjoy playing football, whether that's with their friends or whoever is on their team. And they want to dream, innit? They want to play and have the opportunities to test themselves against the best. And the players that I thought that was good enough, and after speaking with their parents and speaking with the grassroots clubs at the time, I was usually tell them, like, I understand you guys want to win leagues and trophies and all that stuff, but that was never a big thing for me. The biggest thing for me was just seeing a young boy achieve their dreams. Like me, I was so close to making it, didn't quite make it, gave up, I would say. I'm not going to use this excuse about knee injury and all that stuff. Literally just gave up, didn't appreciate the opportunity as much as I did now or do now. And understanding, but if you sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Started getting to reminiscing, but it gave me my grounding. Having that ability to just do that negotiation of bringing a player from grassroots then back into academy level was a big achievement for myself, and Crystal Palace was a good grounding for that, and I definitely learned a lot. Learning from the coaches. I used to go to a lot of training sessions, a lot of their tournaments, a lot of their games. Never used to get paid for it, but just used to go there just for the experience, the exposure, the understanding. Used to learn a lot. You speak to a lot of agents as well. You speak to a lot of parents. Get a lot of just advice and understanding of my know-how. Remember at the time I think when I first got it, I was 21. Now 33, so how many years ago? That's 12 years ago. A lot has changed. Not a lot has changed from, not I won't say a lot has changed. A lot has developed. I won't say a lot has changed. I just think the understanding the data and all of that has been involved now. But I think like the basic understandings and the metrics of it, of like, obviously, I've gone on a scout with different clubs. I'll speak about the clubs that I was working at, but today I focus on Crystal Palace. But when you are a scout, the main thing that you do want to do is you want to understand the club, you want to understand the players that they got. You want to make sure that you're not wasting their time and you're not wasting your time, because sometimes it's obviously easy just to be like, oh yeah, this player's good, I'm just going to try and get him into the club. But no, it's very important just for your own reputation, your own work ethic, or your work ethic of what you're producing to the table. You want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and that you're going out there and you're producing, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? You're actually seeing that talent. You're able to, because one of the biggest things about football as well is not only just like spotting the talent, it's communicating things in the right way. And because it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's one thing you have to understand. Like, there's loads of people that's going to try to undercut you. There's people that's going to try and say things about you and try and stop what you're trying to do. But it's always important to build that rapport with the parents, build a rapport with the coaches as well, and just make everyone understand that you're just trying to do the best for the child, and have that mindset. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't use it for your own self-gain, do you know what I'm saying? Because how I look at it is, if a young boy goes on and achieves his dream of becoming a professional football player, and he's able to look after his family and enjoy the game of football, then you've done your job, do you know what I'm saying? And if you are good enough at your job, you will end up being where you want to be. And that was my journey at Crystal Palace. I'm going to dive a lot more into it. I'm going to give you guys a lot more base points. I'm going to dive a lot more into my journey about scouting, because obviously I've done a lot more at Crystal Palace, and I wasn't really there for long. I think I was there for about a season and a half, just simply because I wanted to progress and develop. And I feel like obviously at the same time as well, when you obviously being a representing Crystal Palace, obviously you have to respect the club, respect the badge, and obviously making sure that you're bringing players to them and them only, not them and them only, but do you know what I'm saying? I'm working for Crystal Palace. So obviously after a while, it got to a point where I needed to kind of spread my wings. Like being at a club that was at Crown Pro Elite, I was able to like build connections with a lot of people in the footballing world. So being so young, being in a position where I wasn't getting paid what I was doing at Crystal Palace, I didn't want to block my opportunities of working with other clubs and giving boys opportunities at different places. So after that, I did definitely. I think my next job after that was at West Ham. I'll talk about my time at West Ham. That was a short stint as well before I moved on to Reading. But yeah, I'll dive into them. I'll dive into those a lot more. But I did learn a lot from Crystal Palace, because one thing as well that you get from going, like, even though I was a volunteer, you're able to go on a lot of courses that the FA provide for you, free courses. And talent ID, scouting ID, even just your health and safety, all the little bits and bobs that can obviously help you outside of football as well and getting a job. So it's not all, it's obviously for me, I enjoyed every little part of it, like me getting paid or all that stuff. I didn't really care. Just the fact of when they gave me that Crystal Palace jacket, you know, when you get that little uniform and that, and you just walk out, you're like, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Everyone's like, what, you're a scout? Yeah, you walking down the road like, what you got that jacket for? I'm a scout, bro. You know what I'm saying? You scout, come on, you know what I'm saying? Everyone's like, yeah. Feeling young thing is good. Obviously, I'm 21 at that time, so I'm young, so I'm just bold and cheating with that long trenchy and that, feeling like the man. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's good. You know, I wasn't getting paid a penny, but I loved it. I loved every single minute of it. And yeah, you just got to enjoy it, especially when you're starting out and you're being a scout and you're being a coach. And you never know what's going to take you, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I left that behind now, doing a content creation for you guys. But yeah, at the time of my life when I was doing it, obviously I didn't have really that much responsibilities then, so not getting paid for something wasn't really that much of a burden on myself per se. But now with 2 kids and and a household to run, you got to do what you got to do, and I'm here now. But I definitely enjoyed at the time what I was at the time my time at Crystal Palace. Yeah, I enjoyed my time at Crystal Palace, and Jamal Jarrett was a very big part of that. Paul as well, getting my position there. I think he was at, no, I don't think he was at the time. He was doing something else. But yeah, let me know what you think about my time there. Is there anything else more that you guys want to know? I'll slap it in. I'll put it into the next show. Just put it in the comments. Any questions? Yeah, anything you want to ask me, guys, slap it in there. I'm going to be going live soon as well, so don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching, subscribe. We're going to get to 500 and we're going to start doing more likes, yeah, so you guys can get more engaged, do your super chats and all everything there. But I appreciate the love the same way, so we're going to be more engaging for you guys. But don't forget to hit the sub, yeah, and don't forget to follow us on TikTok and all our social media platforms, Instagram and that as well, because I'll be doing lots more short form content as well. I'm going to be breaking down a lot of things in the academy. I'm going to break it down step by step. I'm going to be giving you all the information, all the tips. Don't worry, I've got you guys, yeah? If you're going to make it from grassroots to pro, I'm the man that you need to know. But yes, thank you guys for locking in. I appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. Let's go, buddy.